Hello and welcome to the video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy. Today we'll be looking at the Premier League predictions for this weekend, the third week. We have done this in a row, the third week so far. I'm really looking forward to this time. There's some really good games to look forward to. Be interesting to see how certain teams get on after a struggling start, and then see how other teams get on who have had a decent start to life in the Premier League. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy. The first game we're going to be looking at is Norwich versus Chelsea. So Chelsea have had not the best start, in my opinion. They had the 4-0 loss at Manchester United. They had the penalty loss to Liverpool after they drew 2-2 in the Super Cup, and then they drew 1-1 with Leicester City after going in front through Mason Mount. A Wilfred Ndidi header made it 1-1, and there was chances for Leicester to win it. I think Leicester probably should have won it. Some of the chances they had, particularly the one that Vardy had, they had some really good chances to win it. Maddison had another great one as well, but they ended up getting a draw. So Norwich City, they started off with Liverpool and lost 4-1, but they turned things around on Saturday. They played Newcastle United, who I expect will struggle. I said that they would finish outside of the relegation zone. I thought they would stay up, but they've not had the best start so far, and they lost to Norwich City, a hat-trick from Teemu Pukki. The first one, a great volley as well, and he has already got 4 goals this season, so that is going to be a really interesting to see how he gets on this season. I'm really excited about him. I wasn't sure about him when he moved to Norwich in the summer last year. He has done absolutely amazing. Shelvey did get a late consolation goal for Newcastle. So overall, it's been different starts. I think Norwich will be very happy with their start. A loss to Liverpool, as expected, and then a win against Newcastle. Pukki scoring goals is going to be massive. Pukki could be the difference between staying up and going down. Chelsea start, I think they'll be disappointed with their start. I think they'll be definitely disappointed with the opening game. I didn't think they played too bad against Liverpool, to be fair. I thought they had chances to win it, but the ones who went to penalty, I thought Liverpool would win. And in the first half, Chelsea didn't play too bad. Second half, they let Leicester onto them, and Leicester had chances to win the game. So I'm going to go for a Chelsea win. I'm going to go for Chelsea to get their first win under Frank Lampard. I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea, but if Chelsea do not win this game, there's going to be serious questions asked about Frank Lampard and his ability as a Premier League manager, I think, if he can't beat Norwich City. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Chelsea. I think they have just enough to beat Norwich away from home. I think Carrow Road will be up for it. I wouldn't be surprised to see Norwich take the lead, but I think Chelsea will have the upper hand. Next, we go to the south of the country, and we're going to be looking at Brighton versus Southampton. So Brighton, they haven't been too bad, to be fair, in their opening 2 games. They won 3-0 at Watford, and then on Saturday they had a draw with West Ham, and they had a goal disallowed, so they could have won that game. Trossard looked very good, in my opinion, from what I saw of him. He scored twice, one which was disallowed through VAR, and then the other one was allowed, and they drew 1-1 after Javi Hernandez opened scoring for West Ham. Southampton have had 2 losses in a row. The first loss was at Burnley when they lost 3-0, and on Saturday they lost to Liverpool 2-1, and they had a great chance through Danny Ings to equalise, but he didn't take it, and they had some other chances as well. It wasn't like they didn't create anything, so this one's going to be tough because Brighton have had a good start to the season, in my opinion. Southampton, they've had not the best start, but they did look okay against Liverpool in spells. I'm going to go for a draw here. I'm going to go 1-1. So Brighton 1, Southampton 1. Next we go to Manchester United, who had a chance to go top of the league on Monday night but did not take it, drawing with Wolves, which I think is a good point. I think Wolves away is a tough game. They're a very good side. Very good side. So they drew 1-1 on Monday night. Anthony Martial opened the scoring for Manchester United, but a brilliant equaliser through Ruben Neves made it 1-1. Pogba missed a penalty on the 70th minute mark, and it remained 1-1. I think Manchester United will be disappointed they didn't get all 3 points with the chance of that penalty, but I think they would have taken a point to begin with, in my opinion. It's not been the best start for Palace. A 0-0 draw with Everton on the opening day, and then a 1-0 defeat to Sheffield United on Sunday. That was a disappointing result for Palace. I thought Palace would go there and win. I thought that they would be comfortable against Sheffield United, but that wasn't the case. They need Wilfried Zaha firing, or they will go down. I'm sure they will go down without Wilfried Zaha, because Wilfried Zaha is, the best player that probably I've ever seen in a Crystal Palace shirt. I think that's quite high praise, but I think he's the best player I've ever seen. Obviously, Andy Johnson did really well when I first started watching football. He scored a lot of goals for Crystal Palace, but Crystal Palace went down with Andy Johnson. As Wilfried Zaha is such a big impact player, they need to get him firing. If they get him firing, then I think they'll be fine this season. If they don't, I think they could be in for a struggle. So Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. I'm going to go 2-0 to United. I think United will be fine against Crystal Palace. Next game is Sheffield United versus Leicester. So Sheffield United had their first win after returning to Premier League football with Crystal Palace's 1-0 victory. So that was a good win over Palace. They had a draw on the opening day against Bournemouth as well. And I think they'll be pleased with 4 points from their opening 6 points. I think they'll be really pleased with that. They're in 8th place, which is the same amount of points as Manchester City, Manchester United and Tottenham. So they'll be very pleased with that. And they have a chance to play Leicester. And Leicester, their results have been up and down over the last season. They look a bit better under Brendan Rodgers, but so far this season they've drawn with Wolves and they've drawn with Chelsea. And I don't think they'll be disappointed with those 2 results. Wolves are a good side, and they had a goal right at the end chalked off through VAR, and then Chelsea, I think they'll be pleased with that point. But like I say, I think they had chances to win that game. But overall, I think they'll be pleased with their opening 2 fixtures, but they need to get their first win. And I think they will get their first win against Sheffield United on Saturday. I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Leicester. I think Leicester will be comfortable against Sheffield United. Next game is Watford versus West Ham. Last time these two met, West Ham won 4-1. And I read a stat that Watford, in their last X amount of games, I can't remember exactly how many games it was, they've only won twice, and that was against Huddersfield and Fulham. Of course, 2 sides that got relegated last year, so they've not been the best. They've lost their opening 2 games, 3-0 to Brighton and a 1-0 defeat to Everton. Bernard scoring the only goal of the game against Marco Silva's Everton, who obviously were Watford's former employer. West Ham, they started off with that 5-0 defeat to Manchester City, Raheem Sterling scoring a hat-trick. Then they got a good point against Brighton. And I think that they will be going to Watford feeling that they could get the win. And I think they will get the win. I think that Watford are strong. I said on the stream the other day that I think Javi Gracia might be the first manager to be sacked in the Premier League. So I'm going to go for a West Ham win. I'm going to go 2-0 to West Ham. That was the final 3 o'clock game, and then we go to the game of the weekend in my opinion, and that is Liverpool versus Arsenal. So Liverpool, they have won 3 of their opening 4 games, including cups of course. They lost to City on penalties in the Community Shield. They beat Norwich 4-1. They won on penalties against Chelsea in the Super Cup, and then a 2-1 victory over Southampton. Arsenal, I think they'll be very pleased with their start. I read the other day that they won 2 games, they're opening 2 games for the first time since the 2009-10 season. So that is a very good start to break. It's amazing that a club of Arsenal's stature and size have gone that long without winning their opening 2 games. They started off with a 1-0 win over Newcastle, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang scoring the only goal of the game. And then they played Burnley on Saturday at the lunchtime kickoff, and Dani Ceballos was a key figure. He assisted twice for Lacazette and Aubameyang, scoring their goals either side of a Barnes equaliser. So that game finished 2-1, and I think that Arsenal will be pleased. I still think Liverpool will win this game. Liverpool seem to absolutely trounce Arsenal a lot. They've conceded several times more than 3 goals. I think the last time they met, they lost 5-1. The season before, they finished 4-0 to Liverpool. The season before that, I think they finished 3-1 to Liverpool. So they score a lot of goals against Arsenal, and I think that will be not the case this time. I think that it will be a lot tighter, but I think Liverpool will get the win. I'm going to go 2-0 to Liverpool. I think Liverpool will be fine against Arsenal, even though the Arsenal are a top 6 rival, of course. I just think that their defence is still very flimsy. On to Sunday's games, we have no games on Monday. Bank Holiday Monday, so we just go straight to Sunday's games, and the first of which is Bournemouth versus Manchester City. So the last time these two met at Dean Court, or the Vitality Stadium as it is now, Manchester City won 1-0 through Riyad Mahrez. What was amazing about that game was Bournemouth didn't have a shot. Not a shot in the whole game. So Manchester City absolutely dominated. So City will be, I think, relatively pleased with their start so far. They won the Community Shield. They beat West Ham on the opening day 5-0, and then drew 2-2 with Tottenham. Now this was disappointing in the end for City because they did score a goal that was chalked off through VAR, and then they had a penalty, which I think was a penalty, wasn't given. And I think this is a big issue where they seem to be just going with the on-field referee, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. If there's a foul, then give the foul. That's what you're there for. Not there to back the referee up. You're there to give fouls and penalties and things like that. That's what this is there for. So please use the equipment for what it is used for. And I think that was a penalty. At the end of the day, City might have missed, and it still might have been 2-2. But that was that. In a title race as close as it was last year, it it could be a massive 2 points drop for City. Bournemouth, they opened their account with a 1-1 draw with Sheffield United, but did win on Saturday against Aston Villa. Josh King converted a penalty in the second minute. 10 minutes later, Harry Wilson made it 2-0, and then Douglas Luiz scored an absolute screamer from just outside the area into the top corner to make it 2-1. And once again, there was a foul on Josh King in the penalty area. VAR went with the on-field referee, and that was once again a clear penalty. He kicked him in. He kicked him in the back. In the back of the foot. It was clearly a foul, and once again the on-field referee went with his decision, which I can't understand. I know there's a high bar for it, but if it's a penalty, it's a penalty. It shouldn't matter, what the referee thinks. It should be, that is a penalty. It shouldn't be, well, the referee said it wasn't, so that's what we're going to go with. It should be a penalty is a penalty, and it doesn't matter what the on-field referee thinks. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. I think City will win this game, but it's usually a tight game. The last two times they have met, it's finished 1-0 to City and 2-1 to City. Of course, that 2-1, Raheem Sterling scored right at the death to make it 2-1. So they have struggled against Bournemouth at home. And I think this one will be a tight occasion again. I'm going to go 2-1 to City. I think City will get the victory, but I think it will be quite a tough game. Two games kick off at 4:30. The first of which is Tottenham versus Newcastle. So Tottenham will be pleased with their start, but performance-wise, I don't think it's been the best. For large parts of the game against Aston Villa, they looked very, very poor, and then they looked very poor against City for the whole entire game, but still managed to get a draw and beating Villa 3-1. Newcastle, they have had a poor start. They lost to Arsenal, which isn't a surprise. They lost 1-0, and I thought at the time they won't be too disheartened by that. It's not like they got hammered, but I didn't create many chances, in my opinion, in that game. And then a 3-1 defeat to Norwich, and they'll be extremely disappointed with that. This game was the opening fixture the other way around, Newcastle versus Tottenham, for the last 2 years running. So this one is actually being played in the third week, which is different. I'm going to go for a Tottenham win. I'm going to go 3-0 to Tottenham. I think Tottenham will be comfortable against Newcastle. Newcastle are very, very poor, and I'm really concerned about them under Steve Bruce, how they're going to get going. I think that they need to go home to St James's Park and have somebody who win and start there. I don't think that going to Tottenham, I don't think they'll get anything out of that game. Finally, the last game is Wolves versus Burnley. So Wolves play Torino on Thursday night, so this is why it's being played on Sunday. Wolves have had a long pre-season. They've beaten Crusaders, they've beaten Punic, and they've also drawn their opening 2 Premier League fixtures against Leicester City and against Manchester United. Once again, I think that they'll be relatively pleased with their draws. I think they'd like to win in those two, but I don't think they'll be too disheartened. Burnley opened their account with a 3-0 win over Southampton, and then a 2-1 defeat to Arsenal as well. So I think Burnley will stay up. I don't think there'll be any threat of staying Being a part of that relegation sort of scrap, I think that they'll be fine. I think they'll be in mid-table, but I think this one will be tough. It'll be interesting to see what kind of side Wolves put out because they want to progress in the Europa League. So I'm going to go for another draw for Wolves. I'm going to go 1-1. I'm going to go 1-1 because I think Wolves are a better side than Burnley. I think in usual cases Wolves would beat Burnley, but Burnley haven't had too bad of a start to the season. And also, Ashley Barnes is on fire. He scored most goals outside of Aguero and Mane this year in the Premier League, which is a very good stat. And also, Wolves have the Europa League, and I think that they'll be very tired from the Europa League game. So I think I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw for that one. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, of course, if you are new. If you haven't already, feel free to put your comment into the comments. Maybe tell me what you think the predictions will be. There will be a list if you can, you can just copy and paste and put your predictions in there. But thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like, as I said, and subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.